the time we had in lockdown was a time for me to reevaluate what the future will hold for myself, where I see myself, and what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Hello, everyone. It's me, Emily Bron, owner of the International Lifestyle Consulting. And today I have pleasure to meet and speak with Korra Juliana, my, I can say, friend, living now in sunny Portugal. And let me introduce Korra Juliana. She is a dynamic global lifestyle consultant and mentor who is leading in the empowerment of women in the realms of travel and relocation. With a resolute mission to empower women to explore, discover, and triumph, Korra is the driving force behind Global Life by Korra. It's Korra company now, where she offers transformative online consulting and personalized mentoring. As a co-founder of Happy in Sisterhood, Korra Juliana has orchestrated a remarkable transformation, fostering a vibrant communities of expats and local women in Lisbon. With over 4,000 active members since its 2021 inception, this community was born from Korra's personal experience of arriving in Portugal and craving meaningful connections and a sisterhood of support. Her deepness and knowledge in event curation and social media prowess was propelled this sisterhood to its current state, hosting an impressive average of 6 events every month. Yet, Korra Juliana's path of empowerment extend further. As a founder and director of Wasim Group, she led groundbreaking wellness initiatives in the Dutch Caribbean in the past, sculpting a bespoke project of a diverse clientele. Her fineness in wellness, marketing, and collaborative teamwork has indelibly shaped the industries in Curacao. Today, Korra Juliana stands as a beacon of empowerment, channeling her passion, strategic acumen, and unwavering dedication to inspire women to conquer uncharted territories and seize the greatness. Right now, Korra is focused on Happy in Sisterhood Club and turning what started to be as a hobby in international business. And Cora, when I am reading this, I am already, excited and empowerment by all these words and actually by all what you are doing. So, how are you today, Cora?
I'm fine. Thank you, Emily. Thank you for having me. And yeah, it's always a pleasure to share with the world what we're doing. And yeah, and even if it's just touching one life, it makes me happy.
Thank you. Like I already told about you, but a little bit, who is Cora Juliana? Your short life story, whatever you would like to share today with our
Right.
listeners and followers.
Well, I'm born and raised in Curacao, the Dutch Caribbean, a small island. And I was pretty much a mother of a daughter, and my daughter's now 20. I was a wife, a business owner. I had a wellness consulting firm, farm to table restaurant, and that was my life before the pandemic, basically. And as you know, sometimes things happen, life changes. I separated after being together 23 years, and I got a divorce just before the pandemic started. So to me, the time we had in lockdown was a time for me to reevaluate what the future will hold for myself, where I see myself, and what I want to do with the rest of my life. I think it was the universe conspiring for many of us who needed a new start. It gave us time to think, basically.
Exactly.
think and reevaluate what we want to do. And in my case, I decided, well, now I'm divorced. My daughter was going to go study in the Netherlands. So she was going to leave the house the following year. My business is I had to reevaluate if I wanted to continue or not because I just started the restaurant a year and a half before. So it was still in the building up phase. And the consulting and the wellness consulting, my clients, they were all preoccupied with their own business, how to start again after the lockdown. So I was not foreseeing any income streams coming after the lockdown would end. So I need to think, I need to come up with a new plan. So I felt that this was for me a time to recharge. And I decided, okay, if my daughter's going to Europe, I'm gonna go to Europe as well. I had owned two properties. So I decided to rent out those two properties to create passive income and take a year off just to give myself a sabbatical, which is something I never thought it was going to be possible because we're conditioned to always be working, always be doing something.
Absolutely.
So I never thought of myself taking such a long time off. I think the most vacation I've ever had was 3 weeks. Um,
Absolutely the same for me. 3 weeks in all my life is maximum twice, I think, over the life.
y- so taking a year off was bold decision, but I thought, okay, it's either now or never. Yeah,
Absolutely. I hear you. And
yeah,
why? Why Portugal? Can I ask? Like, why
of
with
course.
all the opportunities you selected Portugal?
Yes, it was basically when I was during the lockdown, I did a lot of research into European countries where, first of all, safety was my primary goal because I would be traveling by myself. So safety was a number one priority. Number two is a place where I would feel welcome, that is a bit multicultural. Number three was language, where I could communicate also with the local people. Although I do not speak Portuguese at that time, I knew that, especially in the big cities, they spoke English. So for me, that was a big plus.
Sure.
And number four was the cost of living. I had a budget. So because I knew I was not going to be working, I had to create a life within the budget that I had. And through researching, I found out, okay, Lisbon or Portugal would fit those criterias. And I just decided to, see it as an adventure. I had never been to Portugal. I mean, I've traveled I've been to Spain, Italy. So those were my next options if I did not like, if I didn't like Portugal. But when I came, I really, really liked it. Oh, and then, sorry, the number five was the weather. The weather
Okay.
here in Portugal was very favorable. It's very mild. And coming from the Caribbean, I'm not used to the cold. I mean, I lived in Florida for 7 years, so which was also nice weather. I did not want to go to the north part of Europe where I would experience very cold and lots of rain and dark days. I'm not gonna take 1 year off to to stay indoors.
To freeze.
So yeah, so that's how I said no. I'll drop off my daughter in the Netherlands. And the Netherlands is because we are Dutch, we have Dutch passport. So it's easy for our locals to go in the Netherlands and study. So I said I drop off my daughter in the Netherlands, have her settled. I spent like a month and a half. And then I took off to Portugal without knowing anyone. I just came by myself. I only booked 1 week Airbnb for the first week. And I said, when I'm here, I'll figure it out. That's basically how I ended up in Portugal.
Great, great. So since then, and life is moving, and changes happened everywhere, including Portugal. What are your personal impressions from expat communities in Lisbon and Portugal in general? I know it's a big loaded question, but you can do it. You can do it.
Yes, of course. Well, I'm surrounded here by expats. I must tell you that there are people from all over the world that are moving here. Either they're coming here as nomad, so they're passing through Portugal, or they're moving to Portugal and working remotely. And there's also, of course, expats that have been here for many years already, working for local companies or international companies. But the amount of expats here surpassed my expectations. And most people, I mean, I think 90% or even higher, I would say 95% of expats that I encounter, they love Lisbon. They really, really enjoy their lives here. So it's kind of contagious when somebody tells you, "Oh, I'm so happy here. I really like it here." Then it's like a light bulb switches in your head. Like, okay, so if they like it, there must be a special reason why they're enjoying it. So it's very contagious. So I experience it as a very positive place to live, and to me, and it's not just me, I've spoken to others, they say the same. Lisbon has like a feminine, soft energy. It's like a woman. The energy of this, it's very welcoming. It's very soft. People here, they do not speak loud. They're very, very soft. They have a lot of patience. You don't see people fighting on the streets. People stand in line. So it's very mild. I think when you're going through changes in your life, um, especially transformation, you welcome this energy. This is the energy that you need. You don't want to be in a big city where with lots of traffic, lots of chaos, and people that are always speaking negative.
But it's a local culture, so it's a general local culture. Like it's European and local to the Portugal. And what you would tell about, say, Algarve, because Lisbon it's known. Speaking about other areas of expats, interest in the Portugal.
Yes. Well, Algarve also has a big expat community, especially people who want to retire or want to live a slower pace. They do not like the city life. They opt for Algarve, and it's yeah, the weather. Of course, it's much warmer there. So some people that they move to Portugal for specifically for the Algarve region. And I've been to Faro, Lagos, Albufeira, and they're nice, but in certain time of the year they're very touristy as well. So it's a kind of quiet lifestyle, but also you have the heavier traffic months of the year, especially now in the summer. It's also for the Portuguese from all over Portugal. It's their location of choice for vacation. So many people from the north, they go down to the south during the summer months, and it becomes quite busy. But again, it depends on what you're looking for. In my case, as a single woman alone, I was in my 40s. I wanted people around me. I wanted things to do. I wanted activities. I didn't want to be by myself. So that's why I didn't opt for Algarve. But I I do understand the appeal of living in, by the water in a like they have retirement communities. It definitely has an appeal. If you're a couple, for instance, and you don't need to go out much, definitely it's an area that has a lot to offer. And it's a little bit less expensive to live than the capital, than Lisbon.
Oh, really? I thought that kind of it's even now because again, a lot of like businessmen and digital nomads coming to Lisbon, and I know there's a little bit shortage of accommodation. I've heard like from real estate perspective, understandable because so many people flocking to Lisbon, and actually Portugal is very high advertised in many sources over the last years. But what you would tell about Porto, which is has like little bit different flavor north of this location, but I've heard some people are flocking to Porto and actually all the silver coast of Atlantic, Portuguese
Yeah.
Atlantic.
Yeah, actually, a lot of people don't even know. I mean, I didn't even know much about Portugal before coming here, but Portugal has a full coastline. So it
Yep.
doesn't matter if you're in the north or in the center, like Lisbon is more in the center, Algarve is in the south. Everywhere you can be close to the ocean, you can be close to water. And even if you're in Porto, that's also the case. The appeal of Porto is it's smaller. It's a smaller city than Lisbon, so it's less crowded, little less tourists, and the people there. I don't know. I cannot say for myself that I've experienced it different, but people who live there tell us that the locals are much more friendlier in Porto. I
Maybe
mean,
it's a small, the a sense of smaller city
exactly,
versus capital, and they
exactly.
have their own cultural ambience. I remember when I've been in Portugal, I liked Porto as a city and a river, and they have their own kind of industry, and they have their own stories, even like
Yes, they do.
historically.
They do. So people, the locals, even the Lisboetas, how you refer to the local people from Lisbon, they say the people from Porto are much warmer than people from Lisbon, which is funny because it's colder in
Yeah.
Porto weather-wise, but the people tend to be warmer. So that's also a very good option if somebody wants to be in a smaller community, doesn't mind the cold weather, doesn't mind rain because it rains more than it does in Lisbon. And it's you can travel also from Porto to other towns outside of Porto in the north area, which are beautiful. If you're a nature lover, it's a beautiful area to be. I just came back from camping not too far from Coimbra, which is also it's not as far north as
Mhm.
Porto, but it's about 2.5 hours drive from Lisbon. And it's beautiful. It's nice to be out in nature. So I think nature lovers will definitely enjoy living in that part of the country, if you don't mind, of course, the weather.
Yeah, so please tell a little bit more about your activity in Lisbon, your expat welcome club, happy woman club, actually about all these activities you created for expats in Lisbon.
Yeah. So, like I said, when I came on a sabbatical. I had time, a lot of time on my hands. But what I realized is when you move to a new country, what is very important is your social life, who you have around you. Because if you move to a country and you feel lonely, the chances that you will stay there for long diminish, or the experience that you also have from the country will not be the same. So I said, okay, well, I'm here by myself. Let me reach out, see if I can meet other women with whom I can, go out for coffee or just meet. And because it was lockdown, as the pandemic was still happening a bit, a lot of places were closed. So you didn't have many places to go. Nightclubs, all nightclubs, for instance, were closed. There were some events going on, but they were very restricted. And there were no events that I could find that were only for women. So I went on a Facebook group, which is called Girl Gone International, which I was, a part of as a member. But on that, I found a lady that had posted that she just moved from Germany to the same area where I was living, which was called Alfama, which is the old part of Lisbon and was also close to the river. And she shared a little bit about herself. She's an author. She came by herself and she wanted just to meet women, like-minded women and about the same age group. And I said, you know what? Let me react. Let me just send her a message, which is something I've never done before because when you're living your life in your own country, you have your friends, you have your established social life. So you don't need to reach out to stranger. But when you're in a new country, a different country, it's important for you
You
first.
transform. You need to be
You need
different.
to
And yeah,
switch your mindset and say, okay, I'm new in this country. I want to make new acquaintances. So I must make first steps. I have to, approach people. So I sent her a message telling her who I was and told her I was also living in that same area. And she reacted right away. She said, yeah, well, let's go for a coffee. And the following day, we went for a coffee and we connected right away. We're completely from different worlds, but still, we had so much in common. And from that day, we started talking a lot. And every afternoon, we would walk by the river because there was not much else to do. So, in that became a friendship. So, I had my first, friend. And then one day I was talking to her and I told her, I would like to start a business from Portugal where I work with women because I come from the wellness industry back in Curacao. And most of my participants at the events that I was organizing were women. So I'm used to that. I know what women want, but I don't know the women who are here in Portugal, how I can be of value to them. And she said, okay, well, why don't you start organizing events here? Start organizing a meetup. And I said, well, that's a good idea. And that's how we started. And she volunteered and she said, I can help you. So we joined forces and we started what we called back then Happy in Lisbon, which is how we both felt. We were both happy to be here. You have to be happy. I mean, if it's not in you, you're going to keep looking for it everywhere. So,
I'm with you on this. I'm always trying to organize myself on something to do and inspire
inspire
others.
others. Yeah,
You're
and I
correct.
like to have fun. I mean, especially after the lockdown, we were, so long tied up inside. I was missing that fun aspect of life. So we
Sure.
organized the first meetup, and to our surprise, about 30 women showed up. And we were like, oh, wow. So we're not alone. There are more women like us that wants the connection. And then the way we created the event was we helped the women connect and made it easier for them to talk to strangers. So it was not just it wasn't a networking event where you just show up and then you just say hi, hello, and the same superficial talks. But we came up with questions so women could go dive deeper into conversations. And they loved that. So after the first one, we said, this is what we want to do. Let's keep doing this every month. And we started like that with 30. And then from 30, we said, okay, by the end, this was February 2021. We said, okay, by the end of the year, we would like to have 1,000 women be part of our community. But at the end of the first year, we already had 3,000 women. So it grew so fast because there's so many women. It's like Portugal and especially Lisbon, it's like a magnet attracting women from all over the world, whether they're coming single or they're coming as a with their partner. But there's so many, and they all want connection because after lockdown, that's one of the things that people crave more. They want to be part of something. They want to connect. They
Absolutely.
want to talk. They want to, yeah, share experiences with others and do fun things together. So that's what we started with. Just the two of us has now increased, and now on Facebook group we have more than 7,000. On Meetup we have more than 3,000, and we just started on our Instagram page. So that's just in the building up phase. And now every month we have an average around six events that we host. And we're turning this from a community, a sister community, also into a business where we're offering also other type of events, and we have some services that are coming up. So it's been quite a journey transforming what was a hobby or something we did for fun to accommodate the needs of all the women that are already here in Portugal. And yeah,
Wonderful story. Tell me, please, if it's happened for you to involve local women or families like Portuguese to be part of your community, because it's important, integration
with
with
local
local
community.
people.
Yes, exactly. We do have some Portuguese women. Most of them have lived outside of the country, so they understand the need to connect, and that's why they joined us, our community. We do have some local women that just out of curiosity also have joined, or some other friend have referred them to us. But we want that a number to keep expanding more. So that's why we are trying to do different events now to incorporate also more of the local women. But right now, the majority of our members are expats from all over the world.
I understand because expats need it more than
Mhm.
local, specifically single who coming without family, even couples who found themselves in a new environment and new culture. Even it's welcoming, but we need
People need
connection and we need warmth. We need to support. We need interaction. And tell me, please, I understand your events are live events or
no, are
online or meet.
in-person events. There are in-person events because that's what we felt was needed because there were so many things online during the lockdown, but there were not many things in person. And there's a different energy when you're connecting in person than when you're doing it online. Online works also very well, especially when you want to learn something. But when you want to get to
Yeah.
know somebody and meet, it's like dating. When you're dating online and sending
Yep.
messages, it's a different energy than once you meet that person. But you meet that person in person.
Absolutely. But it's what kind of, can you give examples like, I don't know, sport events? Like, where do you meet, in cafe, or like how you manage
Yeah,
this?
we have one base event that we have every first Tuesday of the month. It's like a bar dining place, but with an big open space inside because that meetup normally attracts between 70 and 100 women. So we needed a big indoor space to accommodate all those women, and that's our monthly meetup. And that every month has a different theme, and based on the theme we have questions. We come up with questions, and then those questions, the ladies go in smaller groups and then talk about those questions, and then they keep rotating. So, and during the 2 hours that you're together, you get to meet at least nine new women, and hopefully from them, you will connect with it one or two, sometimes more. Sometimes after the event, all of them from one group they go to dinner together, and lots of friendships are started during our events. So that's one of the events that we host. The other ones we call sister shares, which are also themed on different members. They have a passion or their profession, and so they want to share. It could be somebody, for instance, that is specialized in social media marketing. So the theme will be around social media marketing for that event. Tomorrow, for instance, we have one on emotional intelligence. So she's a life coach, and she will be talking about that, how to deal with emotional changes. So we have, for instance, also a sex therapist. She sometimes gives, her workshops on sexual, liberation or things that you can apply in your relationships. So we have so many different themes. We also have women in music, which are women that professionally work in the music industry. Either they're singers, they're DJs, or they're performers. So they get together to collaborate, to brainstorm and to exchange ideas. So we have so many different themes. Tech, women in tech also come together, talk about their businesses. So that every gathering has a different topic and a different interest, but they're all related to what women need. What our members tell us that they want to know more about, we share within the community.
So you have membership based structure?
Right now, they were setting up a new platform where they will be different category of memberships. So that is a process that we're in right now. So all these things are happening very fast. They're transitions. We also opened another chapter in Madrid. So with one of the members that was in Lisbon, she was from Madrid, moved back to Madrid, and she wanted to continue this sisterhood. So now we have a chapter there as well. And every month they gather there and create the bonds, just like we're doing here in Lisbon. And our goal is to keep expanding in other cities around the world because this is something that um, women want. And they say the future is feminine. Have you heard that expression? The future is feminine. Past.
Yes, I cannot fully kind of agree with it, because I believe that for the world, and actually for children, there is place for men. Men should be in this
No,
life.
no, it doesn't mean that men will not exist because we have existed also in the past. But in the past, it was pretty much a man's world. Men were the ones that, making the big decision and drive all the
Yes.
economic forces, the political forces. But little by little, you see that women are taking more stance in politics and business. Um, in environmental awareness and different things. So the future, women will be more prominent than they were in the past. It's only possible through collaboration. You're only as strong as your connection. So the more connections are made, the more we support each other, the better the process for us all. And it doesn't mean that we are separating ourselves from men because we also want to understand men as better. And this is also part of our sisterhood. We exchange thoughts about, what's working, what's not working. within relationships as well, whether it's business or private relationships, but it's a collaboration. We need to do this together. So that's part of our aim to keep expanding the sisterhood and collaborate because there are so many other women organizations around the world that have existed for many, many years already. So it's not that one has to replace the other. No, we can join forces and collaborate, and there's room for more. There's always room for more. There's so many people on.
And you mentioned once that you have some club or community for men to be involved as well.
So when I started the Happy in Lisbon, at the same time, I started with another group called Lisbon Newcomers Club that was started by a gentleman from the UK, and British gentleman who lived many years in Poland and then was coming back and forth to Portugal. So he decided to start the Lisbon Newcomers Club. And I attended the first gathering that he had, and he asked who would like to join him to help him expand it. And because I had time and I like organizing events, I joined him. So that one is for both men and women because there are a lot of men also here, of course, in Lisbon, and they also want connection. So yeah, but just for me, my interest has always been to help women, of course, grow and see where I can be of value.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for sharing it. And as far as I know, and I'm kind of following your movement in the world, you visited already several other countries in different parts of the world. Please tell us a little bit about like what you were looking for, or and actually what are your impression from Bali or maybe some other countries you recently
Yeah.
visited.
Well, I've always loved traveling and I've been fortunate enough to have been able to do so. Even when I was on the island, I've been always traveling through different parts of the world. But I started my first solo trip to Arizona in the US. I went for myself. I said, okay, I taking a few days and I just want to go to a wellness center by myself. That was my first experience traveling on my own. And then because that went well and then there was like a protected environment, I said, okay, now I'm ready to go explore a little bit further. So from Curacao, I went to Kenya and Tanzania, traveled by myself. And for me, then a world opened because I saw it's much easier than we think to do this on our own because a lot of times it's fear holding us back. We think, oh, something's going to
Absolutely.
happen. What will people think?
Absolutely.
What will I do if I get lost? I feel lonely. All these negative thoughts in our head limit us from taking these steps. But once I did it and I saw that it's liberating and it's empowering and it opens up a new world and it's a different way of traveling because I've always traveled either with my family or business wise. I never knew that how it would feel when I travel by myself. I think it's solo travel is more like a journey inwards. It's maybe contradictory because you're traveling to see the world, but while doing that, you are learning to get in touch with yourself. And I found that such a beautiful and spiritual experience that since then I don't have that fear anymore.
I coming from the same experience of traveling many years with family, children, and it was a period after divorce when I was traveling, kind of just to change environment, and because I always like you like to travel, and I was dreaming about travel. But now listening to you, I can tell you that lately, like over the years, I so like to travel alone. I found a special meaning to be with myself, and I'm reaching out to people when I wish. I
Mhm.
mean, I like to know new people, to find connection, and I do it. Like, but I feel pretty sufficient. I mean, after obviously working with first fears of traveling alone, it was not fear, but more, fear of
Fear of
unknown. I
risk.
like it. I like it because I feel that I grew up. Like I do my
Mhm.
research. I know where to go, and sometimes even it's going not exactly as I planned.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm saying myself, it's
Mhm.
adventure. So now I will learn something
Yes.
new.
The
And
same thing you apply back into your daily life as well. Because sometimes we are brought up to plan every step of our life. You know, you have to have a plan. You have to know
Yes.
exactly what you do and where you go and how
Yes.
you do it. But once you start traveling on your own, you will realize things don't always go the way you plan, but still you'll be okay if you're open to find solutions. And in my case, whenever I encounter a difficulty, I just pray. I just pray when I'm about to miss my a connection or something. I just pray to God. I'm like, God, I really, really need your help right now. I need to be on that plane. I don't know how you're gonna do it, but I cannot miss this connection. And sometimes inexplicable reasons it happens. I'm able to make the things happen without rationalizing everything. So the same thing I'm applying now to my life as well. I don't know exactly how this business is going to turn out. I don't know what I'm going to do next year. I'm open now to let life also guide me in the right direction. I'm open now to connect with people that maybe help me see things from a different way, give me new opportunities or new solutions. So traveling alone, solo, has opened myself up to much, much more than just seeing beautiful new places. And since then, I want to inspire
Absolutely.
more people to do it.
Cora, you are a real entrepreneur, like in your spirit, in your fearless desire to take a risk. It's not for everyone. I understand. And some people need support at the beginning, and maybe it's not the kind of
Mhm.
nature, but I believe that every encounter, every meeting with new person, like I like occasionally met you online,
Yeah.
like 6 months ago. It's a treasure that we need to cherish our experience.
And be open. Just be open to new possibilities and to explore and yeah, to learn. I try to always keep a playful mind when everything I do, if it, whether it's in my social life or in my business life, I try to have fun. I try to just see where life takes me and not just, stress every day that it has to be a certain way for me to fit in a pattern that others expect of me. What I do now is I guide women that want to embark on this journey, that are tired of the same, rat race, that they feel that this is not really what they want to do. They want to start a new life, whether it's moving to a new country or taking, like I did, a sabbatical for a period, but they don't have somebody to talk to. They don't have the guide. They have a lot of questions, a lot of fears or insecurities. Not always fears, insecurities holding them back. And those women I mentor and guide towards the journey so they can make that into a reality. Because all you need is like
I praise
support
you.
and a listening ear and somebody that can share their experience so you feel empowered to do your own.
Tell me, please, your recent travel to Bali. What did you learn comparing, say, with expat life in
In Portugal.
Portugal?
Yes, I spent a
Yes.
month in Bali. I traveled also different parts of Bali. Bali is also an expat and especially like a nomad destination for many years already.
Has.
Uh, I've
Yeah.
most of the nomads there, of course, are young. That's in general. Nomads in general are tend to be younger, up to maybe 30s and younger.
Sort. Mm.
But it's a different lifestyle than, for instance, the expat here in Lisbon. I find the expat here are more creative and they are a bit more business minded than the ones in Bali. Maybe they're more for the surf, they're more for other but I cannot say too much because I wasn't there long enough to talk to many people in Bali to learn from their experience. So, but from what I was gathering, there was more like a surfer's lifestyle. Oh,
It's more
yeah,
adventurous, I think, rather than Portugal, where you have different age group,
exactly.
different, you have variety of like age group people, professional experiences. And probably it's what makes, this life, as you saw, as you say, more interesting and yes, with variety of options. And it's, Europe with its own charm and big cities, there is always
Eh,
difference
yeah,
between,
there's
yes, life in old historical place versus island, even it's wonderful, but it's a different lifestyle.
exactly. This is I find that here in Portugal it's more diverse. I have friends from Madagascar to South Korea, to anywhere you can think of in the world, they're here. And then in Bali, I found it was more Australians, some Europeans, but it was mostly Australians. So it was a little bit different. I did really, really like Bali. It's laid back. Nature is spectacular. Ubud is very culturally rich. And I did love the way that they respect the Balinese people, how they respect their culture. And yeah, it was, they were the most friendly people I've ever met. They're super, super friendly. I felt very welcoming and I met a lot of locals. So I connected mostly with locals there than I did with expats. And I still, up to this day, I still in communication with the Balinese that I met. They send me message. Very, very friendly people. So
What language is they speaking? Like, did you find what language do
in
they
English,
speak?
I communicated with them in English. Yes, in English. But yeah, Bahasa is their native language. Of course, I don't understand Bahasa, but most of them speak English. So the native, especially in the big cities,
Great.
outside the bigger cities, it's a little bit more challenge. But in the bigger cities, Ubud, Seminyak, all the bigger cities, they speak English.
Maybe some other communities you visited or you know of. I mean, in Europe, I know you traveled. I'm speaking now about expat communities, like not versus Portugal, but in comparison, because you have such a big experience with expat community in Portugal.
Yeah,
What other
other
communities you met?
communities, I mean, I know the expat community, for instance, in the Netherlands, it's completely different than in Portugal
Mhm.
because most expats there are there for their work, their job. So it's job related that they moved for a company, as opposed to here in Portugal. You don't move to Portugal to find a job here because it's not a country where you have lots of high paying jobs. So actually, the majority of the young people here move outside of Portugal to find better job opportunities because although the country is developing and economically, it's better than it was a few years back, it still has lots of challenges. And one of them is the low salaries. So expats that are coming here are mostly independent. So they have their own source of income, whether it is they're working for a company overseas, so they're working remotely, or they're entrepreneurs themselves, or they're retired. But their source of income is coming from outside of Portugal. Whereas, for instance, in the Netherlands, it's different. You go there because your company relocated you there, or you find a job, a better job opportunity. So yes, the whole reason, the intention of move also plays a role in the experience of the expat community. They're there
Absolutely.
to work. They don't have as much social connections as here. People here came to enjoy life. You come to Portugal because you love, the beautiful weather that gives you time to go out more. So the intention also determines the atmosphere within the expat community. So when you're moving to a new country, you also have to consider that what's the reason for the majority of the expats. For instance, you're in Mexico. I know in Mexico many retired people from the North America come back. So you will find more people within the expat community that are the same. They have the same reasons for moving.
Yep.
So the energy with amongst them connects them. So it's
Yeah.
definitely important to know what the majority of the expats in a new country, what's the reason for them being there? And that will pretty much give you an idea also what you can expect. Because if everybody's there just to work, they're not going to have as much time to play around and,
Yeah. Yep.
and do the fun things. So yeah, I have not lived in other. I mean, when I was in the U.S., I wasn't an expert. I was a student, and then I worked for.
No, it's completely different age. But comparing Portugal with Spain, it's very competitive place in regards to, retirees and expats. And Spain lately came with good digital nomad visa. It's not only for digital nomad, but I mean for different type of visa to attract more expats from different countries. And I know that you have connection with
Mhm.
Spain. What you say about expat communities and dynamic in Portugal versus Spain?
Yes, I know that Spain is similar weather-wise. And culture wise, there are similarities. It's not the same
Yep.
because the Spanish are much more vibrant, much more energized than the Portuguese. The Portuguese are more subdued, much more relaxed. But I do see people that have lived in Spain who have moved here, and they give us then the difference, what they encounter. And basically, it's more they're choosing a more relaxed lifestyle here as opposed to in Spain. And I also know some people that have lived in Spain say the tax benefits in Portugal are better than in Spain. So those are also reasons sometimes people move from one to the other. For us now, the community that we have, it's building up. So it's still small compared to the Madrid community. But I think it has similarities, but still, it also depends what part of Spain you are. Because Valencia, for instance, has been noted as the number one place for amongst internations expats of where they are most happiest. So that experience living in Valencia will be different than living as an expat, for instance, in Barcelona or in Madrid. So
And the different
it's a
culturally, different
culture.
even.
So it's you cannot say it's just like comparing the lifestyle here in Lisbon to the lifestyle in Algarve, for instance. It's a different lifestyle within the same country. So you have to do a lot of research. And I would always say, what's your intention? What is your intention for moving? That has to be what guides your decision in choosing the right place to align with what you want. Because if your intention is one and you're going to a place where the whole atmosphere is different, you will not find a match. So you need to find your intention with the environment has to have yeah, a connection. It has to match. It's like finding a partner. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. It
And
the partner may look very handsome and very appealing, but if he doesn't align with your values and what you want out of a relationship, it's still not gonna work, no matter how beautiful it is. The same thing is with countries. The same thing applies.
wonderful comparison. And Cora, tell me please, with latest changes we're all experiencing, like in cost of living, in some other factors, real estate, prices in Portugal, do you see some change in the dynamic? Maybe some people are moving out or some people moving in. I'm speaking about expats now. How,
Expats.
my question, how it's affecting expat communities?
Yes, the prices have gone up a lot over the last, I mean, since I've been here, I see that especially rent prices in Lisbon have gone up. But not only that, you don't find places. So it's very difficult to find available housing. And the quality also of the housing that you find may not be what you expect for the price that you're paying. So that it's become a very challenging
So
issue.
most people are renting, like most people in community are renting. They
Expat,
didn't
yeah,
purchase
most
proof.
expat, and now especially because the golden visa is no longer applicable here in Portugal, you don't have as much reason to purchase. Before you had to invest in 500,000, and then you would be able to get your golden visa, but that no longer applies. So that has also played a role in the real estate market. So we don't know how it's going to play out in the near future, if it's going to affect prices. Yes or no, I mean, I cannot look in a crystal ball, and I wish to know what's going to happen. So far, the prices are still the same, but there's much more demand than there is availability, especially if you want to be in the major cities. If you want to be outside of the major city in small areas, there are still great bargains. I've seen in the north of Portugal still places for under 100,000 euros that you can buy houses, not apartment houses. So
But most of our expats actually are renting. I understand.
most of the expats
Specifically
are rent.
single women and things like for the time being. And yes, I'm just thinking about like this category, what how they experience all this and if they manage to have online work, some business, maybe like you, it's
Mhm.
one story. But if they are relying on their, pension savings and cost of living is changing, so it might be some dynamic, in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It may be. Yes. Because it's do a lot of research. I would say Don't just move. If you're on a budget, move without thoroughly researching the market, the prices, because you can get, very disappointed when you come here. I know of people that came here expecting to get around on their pension. And when they arrived, they saw that, yes, they can find something for their pension, but it's nothing compared to what they're used to. And then they become disappointed because they have to go to live in a far below standard of living than what they're used to. So check out, I would do like a scouting trip and go to some real estate. So go spend some time, come to like 2, 3 weeks and make appointments with real estate agents just to look at what's available within your price range to see if you can live comfortably with the budget that you have in the places that you would like to live.
Are
Yes.
you helping people with this kind of
Yes.
scouting discovery tours and connecting with the local professionals who might advise?
Yes, connecting them with real estate agents, setting up appointments if they want to talk to tax lawyers to just get an idea of what they can expect if they do move here. Drivers that can drive them around different parts of the cities to explore different areas and neighborhoods because it's so diverse. You can be in Lisbon, but within Lisbon, you have so many different feelings in different parts of the city. So if you're by yourself, you don't know where to go. But if you have somebody local that can drive you around, it will save you so much more time and energy. And you can ask so many questions while you're exploring with somebody local.
Thank you very much, dear. So, tell us, please, how to find you, how to connect with you, other than LinkedIn profile that I already kind of put for people to see. How else people can connect with you?
Yes, they can go on my website. It's called globallifebykorra.com, Global Life by Korra. And they can send me an email as well. They will find that on my website. And I'm also on Instagram on Global Life by Korra. So the three places.
Thank you very much. It was a real pleasure for me again to meet and speak with you. I learned a lot, and I believe our listeners and followers, yours and mine, will learn as well. A lot of advices, observation, and really whatever you're doing, it's example for many of us. And I wish in every country where there are a lot of expat, it will be first. No, it cannot be like Cora. It will be somebody else, but I really praise you for what are you doing. And I wish you all possible success in all the projects. And I know that you now seriously considering it as a business. And obviously, whatever you're doing, it's what people need. So good luck to you. And
Thanks.
thank you very much for your time and
Thank you for the
effort.
invitation. All the best to you as well.